Going live. People on YouTube are doing countdowns. How do they know? Is it because they're watching on YouTube and on Twitch?
Probably.
Sneaky.
You guys.
I don't mind that though.
You guys are too good.
That means that you count as two people. Because there's your person on Twitch and your person on YouTube.
That's good for like vendors. Like we have like 1,000 viewers live.
Yeah,
it's
see?
like actually we have 500. They just watch both.
Yeah,
streams.
it's just the same person.
Shh! Don't tell
Two
them.
computers,
Don't tell
or the same two windows in the same computer.
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous.
Mm.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Awesome Hardware.
Yes.
This is a show that we do live every Tuesday evening. Usually we start at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. We started a little bit early today, but we already did the first half of the show, which is on Kyle's channel on YouTube. If you didn't catch it, you can go watch that. It's Awesome Sauce Network, and it's linked down in the description. We're going to be continuing my half of the show, Side B. This is episode 53, and it's March 1st, 2016.
Yes.
We have wonderful things to discuss. One thing that we point out in Kyle's half that I guess we can point out here as well was that the reason we started early is because I'm going on a snowboarding trip. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Here we go.
Here we go.
Forgot to. You should probably explain that too for newcomers.
Kyle also will have to do a quote, one of Mario's quotes in Mario's voice.
It's so hard to remember.
In Mario's voice before he drinks. Did you already drink and you were doing
yes.
that? Okay.
That was to make up for it.
Did afterwards.
Yeah.
Also, we typically like to enjoy a frosty beverage on the show, so we're drinking some Delirium Tremens, which is just delicious.
It
Absolutely
is.
delicious. Finishing this up. Haven't been doing a lot of drinking this evening because we should always drink in moderation. Well, also because I'm doing a trip later on. And, yeah, but don't worry if you're watching my channel. I will still have videos going up this week one on Thursday, and then I'll do another weekend one. I'm not going to tell you what the weekend one is yet, though, because I did that last week. And then Kyle took my idea and made his own video.
Did not take your idea. Like
Totally
reviewing
stole
that motherboard was an idea.
I was my original concept. I was. Anyway, I learned my lesson though. Learned my lesson.
Reviews by Paul's Hardware.
Patented and trademarked.
Yes.
Okay.
Here I go.
I didn't earn that. Kyle, I beat Kyle in Face Off on his half of the show.
He did.
That's why Kyle is forced to do this.
Fair and square.
Okay. Before we move into news, let's quickly do some announcements. Which is that if you guys want to help support us and also get yourself merchandise, check out our stores. Kyle's store is awesomesaucenetwork.com/store, and he has shirts and some hoodies. His CPU cooler shirt, which is super awesome, is now available in Heather, so check that out. Super soft. And Kyle has a new shirt design coming soon. I also have a new shirt design coming soon, but until then, check out my existing shirt designs because they're super sweet. Look at that thumb screw. Hey, that's awesome.
Word.
I also have mugs and glasses, so guys, check those out. And doing those gets yourself some fabulous merchandise and is a great way to help support our channels and what we do and bringing you guys the video contents on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all the introductory stuff that we typically talk about, right?
Yes.
For the most part?
Yep.
Okay. In that case, let's move on to news. News. What is this?
Sells
News.
Sells tweets like promoting our t-shirt stores are so genius. If you want to grab a Johnson like Jared would watching an underage swim team and support Awesome Hardware, consider getting them an item from both of their stores. Thank you, Sal. I think Sal just has like a team of writers like standing over his shoulder for everything that he writes in chat.
Apparently he does.
Brilliant.
Apparently, hey.
Thanks, Abadaz, for the donation.
Abadaz, thank you
Here's
so
some money
much.
for the baby oil and a Steam game code. Enjoy.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, just paste in Steam game codes in chat. Woo!
Everybody
Look at this guy.
Get that. I wonder what game it's for. Somebody go redeem that and let us know what game that was for. And Abadaz, thanks for sharing with the entire community.
Yeah.
You're our hero. Community of fabulous people, PC builders and whatnot. All right, news.
All right.
So here's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about a few PC Perspective articles here, written by Ryan Shrout, who's a fabulous gentleman in his own right in many different ways. But we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's been happening in PC gaming in an operating system space, because this has a lot to do with like Windows 10 and DirectX 12, and potentially some confluence, some combinations that Microsoft has in mind for getting everybody on the same platform. Sorry, I'm burping. Getting everyone on the same platform, which is the unified Windows platform. What are they calling this?
Something stupid.
Something stupid.
Steam.
Yeah.
Shitty version.
Exactly. It's the unified. Wait, there's a name for it that I had written down, and now I can't find it. I hate when that happens. You know what I can do is I can go to the next story, and that has it. It's right here. Universal Windows Platform. So the Universal Windows Platform is basically going to be like, your consoles, your desktop PCs, your laptops, your phones.
All the Windows 10 shit.
All on the same thing, which I think is a good idea. I'll just come right out and say it. I think that's what Microsoft should be going for. There are some potential pitfalls along the way. There are also some potential benefits. But this article in particular is talking about Ashes of the Singularity, which there's been a lot of benchmarks released in the past week or two. DirectX 12, Ashes of the Singularity, is the first DirectX 12 capable actual game that you can like run benchmarks in and everything. And of course, you need Windows 10 in order to use DirectX 12. And there's been we talked even a little bit last week about some of these Ashes of the Singularity benchmarks. DirectX 12 allows you to combine two GPUs from different manufacturers, so AMD and NVIDIA, which is also kind of cool. But different sources have been doing different tests, and they're not all sort of syncing up with each other. Some are getting different results than others, depending on how they're running their testing and everything.
Just for Ashes?
This is mainly for Ashes of the Singularity. So Guru 3D in particular did a FCAT testing on this. FCAT is frame rate capture and analysis testing. So rather than using something that happens in the pipeline of the GPU as it's producing each image that it displays on the screen for you, FCAT testing takes the end results, adds some coloration to it. So this bar along the left side of the screenshot that you can see here is the FCAT overlay, so that you can look at each frame that's rendered, and you can look at the color, because the color goes through a sequence, and you can say, all right, the color changes at a regular rate. So if the frame that is output is coming out at an irregular rate, then you'll be able to look at the color on the side of it and determine, yes, this is good and nice and smooth, or no, this is not good and it sucks. That's kind of a simplification, but hopefully makes a reasonable amount of sense. Anyway, with Ashes of the Singularity, basically what they're saying is that we're running these tests. The tests are giving us certain results, but our eyeballs are telling us differently. A lot of people who run lots of tests, like if you run a lot of benchmarks and you're very familiar with turning VSync off, you get to the point where you can realize when you turn VSync off, VSync is off. Okay, VSync is on. Like you see those tears that happen with VSync off.
Disabled, yeah.
And a lot of people, after you've done it enough, you can glance at something at a benchmark that's running for a few seconds. They'd be, oh, VSync's off there, because you can tell.
Right.
But it wasn't lining up. It appeared that VSync was working in some situations and not working in other situations. The quote from the article is, "We are seeing." Well, the quote from the article is about what is causing this. What's causing this sort of irregularities in people to not be able to exactly understand how this is working. What Ryan says is, we are seeing the first implications of a new pipeline for graphics and compositing. WDDM 2.0, which is Windows Display Driver Model 2.0, which is what's operating with Windows 10 and DirectX 12, is a very big shift from what existed previously with WDDM 1.3. So, yeah, I would encourage you guys, if you're interested in this type of thing, to read these articles. They're much more thorough than I'm going to be able to get into here. And they do a very good job of explaining what the heck is going on. So if you're looking at a capped frame rate, in this example with VSync on, you will see gaps in what's being displayed, because when it's jumping back and forth with VSync on, it can only display at a refresh rate that is the same as the monitor, 60 hertz.
Divisible by.
Or if it drops below 60 hertz and VSync's on, it cuts it in half to 30 hertz. So that's where you start to see gaps. It's discarding frames that it can't use so that it can keep up with synchronizing all the frames. What they did was they showed, like, actually, these VSync results that they're seeing that they felt were irregular are actually just a result of how WDDM is processing each image. So you have the game engine itself that is outputting a certain frame rate, and then you have Windows on top of that, which is kind of going through and outputting a frame rate that Windows thinks will synchronize with the monitor, whatever monitor is connected. So 60 hertz monitor, it's going to try to do a 60 hertz frame rate. They're not talking, it seems like, as they should be, the Windows and the games as far as what frame rate is output. And as a result, the results that we're seeing were irregular. They had issues with like VSync turning on or turning off, even just alt-tabbing out of a game, and that kind of thing, which is weird. And most of the results that we were showing you just now, by the way, were with AMD graphics cards. When they're running these same tests with NVIDIA graphics cards, they're seeing results that are more similar to what you would see if you were running, a DirectX 11 test, for example.
So more normal with NVIDIA cards? Yeah,
the frame rates are jumping around in full screen mode, as you might expect, but NVIDIA cards are also kind of quirky with these tests. They would alt-tab. If you alt-tabbed with an NVIDIA card, then suddenly your VSync might turn on, turn off. And the game, for its part, is still trying to operate in VSync off mode, but Windows has decided it now has some control. So all of this is sort of these quirkiness that's going on with this. These are newer. It's a newer test. They're testing it in different ways with updated drivers and trying different graphics cards that are available and that kind of thing. And the people who are doing this are people like Ryan Shroud and the game writers of the world, or game and tech reviewers of the world, who are trying this stuff out for the first time. So we're not necessarily saying like one of these is better than the other or anything like that. It does seem like AMD has a bit of a leg up right now. Their hardware seems to be working more in the way it's intended by Microsoft for the time being. But another quote from the article that I wanted to say here is that Microsoft is pushing DirectX 12 games, and maybe not just those sold in the App Store, which is available through the App Store if you have Windows 10, to render through the standardized pipeline that uses the Windows compositing engine. So that's different than like games you might play with DirectX 11 on older versions of Windows that give like a game that has full screen mode is completely taking control of the entire pipeline, both from the game creating the frames to composited to what's displayed on the screen. When you switch over to something like windowed mode, then it's introducing more of the Windows kind of on top of that, to put it simply, I guess. But Ryan says, in fact, from what I can tell, any game that is sold through the Windows App Store is actually required to behave in this way. Which is kind of what you were talking a little bit about on your half of the show. Yeah. Rendering through the Windows compositing engine is very similar to running in the borderless windowed mode that we have today. So it's like I don't want to draw too many conclusions from this, because it seems like something that's still sort of in flux and something that's still sort of
in its infancy. It's really early. A patch update could fix this. I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, fix isn't necessarily the word. All right, so let's leave that for what it is. I don't want to go too much into like analysis of that. I just want to sort of tell you what's happening right now with people who are testing this. And again, I really recommend articles reading if you want more info, because those are all linked down in the description. But this ties in with what Microsoft's plans are right now for the merging, so to speak, of the PC and Xbox when it comes to gaming, creating a standardized platform. And this is pretty exciting, because the potential here when it comes to the hardware side of it, if you've been investing in consoles, the life cycle of a console is very long, especially when you compare it to the life cycle of a typical PC. True. They can get extremely out of date, and by the time the new consoles are out, often you have situations like you did with the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, which was even when they came out, they were already kind of outdated. But this could allow potentially for UWP apps, which are sort of universal across all platforms, PC, mobile devices, Internet of Things, Xbox, as well as the Surface Hub. Surface Hub seems weird. That's new. It's a new product they're trying to sell or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, this entire article by Ryan Shroud is basically going over a write-up on The Guardian. he's picking up quotes from Microsoft, from Phil Spencer, and basically giving his responses to each of those. Again, this is a very long article that goes into a lot of depth. He gives many responses to all of the things he said. I only wanted to kind of focus on a couple of these at the top, though. So now it seems that Microsoft's plan is to shift the entire development model towards universal applications that run across the PC and the console. Indeed, any machine that's compatible with the Universal Windows platform. This could have radical implications for the console model, which so far has always been based on the idea that the hardware has to remain largely unchanged through the machine's lifespan. So newer APIs that started with like Mantle when we first saw Mantle, and now which is Vulkan, DirectX 12. These new APIs are functioning differently, and it's allowing games to treat a PC hardware much as games might have treated console hardware in the past, which was very easy relatively, for console developers because they knew exactly what hardware they were working with, so they were able to pull a lot out of it. This is good news for PC gamers because it means that if this is a universal platform, then ideally we should have games that are optimized to get the maximum amount of performance out of our hardware. And even, like, look at a console exclusive Xbox One game for right now, and imagine if you could just take that game and without any effort just drop it onto a PC and crank up the resolution and turn on a couple more graphical effects that weren't available on the console side,
right,
and just play it. Like, that's hopefully, the ideal.
Thank you so much for playing my game. I forgot to.
Oh, did you already drink?
Chat reminded me.
People are calling you out?
Yeah, they're calling me out. Thank you guys for calling me out.
Okay.
I need it. Continue.
Second quote here I wanted to read from this article. In other consumer technology ecosystems, you get more continuous innovation in hardware that you rarely see in consoles because consoles lock the hardware and software platforms together at the beginning and they ride the generation for 7 years or so. We're allowing ourselves to decouple our software platform from the hardware platform on which it runs. Okay. I don't have anything to add to that, but it makes sense. Anyway, those are the two quotes I kind of wanted to start with. Again, I feel like if I went through everything here, it would just take way too long. But
it's a long article.
Ryan specifically mentions in the article that consoles and their hardware capability have always been a somewhat limiting factor on how much effort game devs put into creating new games for the PC. So why bother to create special new fancy graphical features that are very, that tax the GPU and the CPU a lot when you're working with this base level hardware that can't even take advantage of that? This would broaden that landscape massively, and developers would be much more inclined to creating stuff that could scale across a wide variety of platforms, that could allow more, higher resolutions or more graphical post-processing or that kind of thing, so that people who had the hardware could take advantage of it. There's also the possibility, however, of Microsoft introducing restrictions with something like this. One of the things they were discussing is like backwards compatibility, which they do discuss in the article, and which has been something that I think on the PC you kind of take for granted at times, that you can go back and run, something in Windows 98 compatibility mode and play an old-ass game.
Yeah.
Whereas on the console, it's like, oh, no, you can't do that. That's impossible.
Right.
And then a year later, they're like, actually, now you can. But it's up to them to give you access to that.
Yeah.
With a situation like this, Microsoft would also have the ability to potentially block stuff like that, if they didn't feel it met up to the standards, or if it took too much time, or if they thought that blocking it could somehow make them more money. But the requirements for the games within Windows 10 to be on the Windows Store, to run in DirectX 12, like the games have to meet up to those requirements for Microsoft to say yes. So they are creating a bit of a walled garden atmosphere to some extent. So, but no one knows at this point how strict they're going to be. No one knows if it's going to be another Games for Windows Live situation,
right?
Where they make a lot of promises.
God, no.
And fail to deliver on a lot of counts, where they say a lot of talk about we love PC gamers, but then their actual follow through is nil.
I'm sensing a repeat of history right now. At the rate things are going.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't have much faith in Microsoft at this point.
It's. I feel like it's easy to not have faith in Microsoft. But,
Trust me, I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, I'm
hoping for the best.
I would take the other side, and I would say, if people are vocal as they go through this process, if people let them know exactly
Mario,
what we want,
princess.
what we want, and what we will accept as gamers. I mean, Kyle already talked on his half of the show about Tomb Raider launching and selling 3 times the amount of copies on PC as it did on the console.
Yeah.
Like, that shows a significant voice just as consumers and people who are betting with our pocketbooks the PC gaming industry has. So I think being vocal through this transitionary time will be important. Keeping an eye on this type of thing will be important. And that's a great reason why you should watch our live show every week, because that's why we talk about these things.
Yeah. I'm your hype man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What he said.
Hey.
Huh.
All right.
That was very fascinating. Thank you, Paul.
Well, thank you. There's one more little bit on it here, and this is a PC Gamer article. And again, this is one that I'm not going to go too far into as far as depth, but it's linked in the description if you want to read it. This is Phil Savage with an interview with Phil Spencer from Microsoft. And here he's saying, I wouldn't say our strategy is to unify necessarily, talking about the two platforms. But I think that's what they did the headline with because they want it to be more of a grabber. But as he's actually discussing here, he's like, I wouldn't say our strategy is to unify because when I hear unify, I worry a bit that people will interpret, my own teams included, hey, I just want to say a game is a game and all games should run everywhere. There are games I was talking about earlier like Ashes of Singularity, fast-paced RTS game, probably not the best controller game. I want to make sure that these games are great. I want to make sure that the gamers on our platforms, what I want to make sure is that gamers on our platforms, you feel you have access to as many games as you can, and as a developer, you feel like you have the tools and service to reach as many gamers as you can. That was fairly generic, but
yeah. You have said nothing.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer.
Yeah, but I mean, he's being very as a person like Phil Spencer, you have to be very careful with what you say because people tend to read into things a lot.
Yeah.
But another article linked in the description if you guys want to check it out, and that's a little bit more direct from the Microsoft side. Let's move on though.
Okay.
AMD. Let's talk about AMD.
Uh-oh. Roy Taylor story.
Yeah, AMD, specifically Roy Taylor.
Oh, snap.
Who's marketing VP? What is he?
Is he allowed to break NDA?
Roy seems to do what he wants.
Yeah.
For the most part. But he has been tweeting this week several pictures. Specifically, here's one of them. This is a Falcon Northwest Tiki, I believe. Clearly all red with the Radeon Technologies group on the side of it, and it's a which Oculus is?
Some kind of
this
dev
is like
kit.
A dev kit Oculus or something like that.
So long, Bowser.
That they are testing. That they are testing with an unnamed graphics card, which looks like a fairly lengthy graphics card with a Radeon logo on it. Why would Roy Taylor be so excited about these things? Why would Roy Taylor be?
I bet it has a
be so excited
6700K
about
in
a
it.
100% burning success and shipping soon with DirectX 12 and VR and stuff like that. Anyway, that's a cool picture though. All right, so basically this is probably the Fury X2.
Yeah. I mean, it's got 2 GPUs on it, clearly, on the PCB.
It is most likely the Fury X2. Fury X2, by the way, is the name given to this card by media. It's not necessarily 100% going to be the name of this card. We also heard Gemini tossed around. But here's Guru 3D's forensics work. They did a close-up of the Radeon here on the side of it.
Enhance.
They've set it up next to an R9 390X, or the reference version of an R9 390X. And they're like, hey, this could be a Fury X2 in there. It seems longer. It should be longer. It's definitely an air-cooled card. And what it should be, theoretically, is something like...
It's interesting that they went with an air-cooled card.
Why can't I zoom anywhere on the...
You can't scroll?
I can't scroll. Why can't I scroll?
That's lame.
I can't scroll to the right.
That's lame, man.
Can I zoom out?
Yeah.
I can zoom out.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are probably Fury X2s or whatever the Fury X2 is gonna be, and I don't know. It's kind of exciting. We literally have nothing further to say about it other than that.
The funniest thing about the Fury X2 is that it'll probably get like 20 frames per second in Gears of War Ultimate Edition.
It probably will. It'll probably suck ass at Gears of War. It does seem to be air-cooled, from what we can tell. It's not to preclude them doing a water-cooled version of it, too. And just to point out, for anyone who wasn't already aware, AMD originally told us this card was going to be at Holiday 2015.
Boo!
It's March now.
Lagging.
So,
the lag is
as
real.
exciting as this might be, they are late, and we cannot prevent ourselves from giving them crap about that.
Do you think AIBs will be allowed to touch it?
They should be. I don't know. I don't know. R9295X2, they didn't, right? No, they didn't. They didn't have any special versions of that.
No.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they stick to the reference model for that. Maybe allow some other.
Although
maybe allow some different.
295X2 was water cooled.
That is true. It was water cooled.
It'd be cool if they water cooled it. If someone water cooled it.
That would be cool.
If
It'd be water cool.
If I watered. Just.
Right.
Just smack yourself.
Here's another AMD story here. This is a WCCF Tech article. And this is a standardized external GPU solution to bring desktop gaming performance to ultra-thin notebooks.
Here I go!
Thank you, Kyle. So this is something that we have seen before, that being an external enclosure housing a desktop graphics card with an interface that connects to a laptop that allows you to take your laptop, set it down wherever this enclosure is, plug in your laptop, switch over to using the desktop grade graphics, and give yourself kind of a, portable laptop / bring it home and plug it in here and you can game with it.
Can you use this for the desktop as well?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know why you wouldn't be able to if you could use it with a laptop.
No, you can't. So this is not available yet. This is an AMD.
Right,
This
I know.
is a new AMD solution.
But is it?
That Robert Hallock from his posted about on his Facebook page.
But does it support desktops?
Well, there are already laptops out there that have this, but they are not. There's not a universal standard for it. So
That's
like
why.
MSI's, for example, is an MSI solution with a proprietary connection.
Yeah, and the one I saw at Asus's booth at CES was also proprietary.
Yeah. So they're talking about creating a universal standard for that. But why would you?
I'm just saying, if just out of curiosity, if you're gonna have it for a laptop, and you have like a budget gaming PC, then
what scenario do you see a desktop with an external GPU enclosure, like a portable?
I just want to know
desktop?
if it's possible. Just to know if I can, or if anyone can.
Well, so depending on the interface that they come up with, depending on how they standardize it, if it's like a matter of connecting, if you have a laptop and it's a matter of like, here's a USB 3.0 connection and a display connection that are both based on existing standards, plug those in and then you can switch over and start using this external graphics card, then I would say yes, you probably could get that to work with a desktop. But again, I would ask you, why?
One scenario is, let's say you have a budget gaming desktop at home, but you also have kind of a low-powered laptop that you like to bring with you on the go. That would be great. That would be able to use this, this external GPU. But if you have this external GPU for your laptop, why wouldn't you also try connecting it to your desktop if you could, just for some extra performance?
So you're saying you have one high-end graphics card and a fairly crappy laptop and a fairly crappy desktop, and you're going to be able to easily switch the graphics card.
I mean,
back
it wouldn't
and forth
even necessarily
between them.
need to be a super high-end desktop GPU. I mean, it could be like a mid-range. I mean, even if it was a GTX 960, that would help boost the performance of your laptop quite a bit over like an 850M mobile processor or something like that.
Okay.
So I'm just curious if that's the only use for this thing, is to hook it up to a laptop and you can't use it for a desktop. Because I just feel like there are some niche. I mean, there are products out there that are more niche than this one.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like there are some situations where people might benefit from having this used in tandem with their mid-range to low-end desktop. As long as there's not...
Possibly there is. And as fringe as I feel your scenario that you're talking about right now is,
says
I do...
Catwoman guy.
I do... You're right. You're getting me back. But I do think...
Mamma mia!
That those exact situations are the reason why universal standards are useful. Because if you have a proprietary standard... Then no, that my answer.
Right,
I would be able to tell you no, that's never going to happen because why would they bother to create that for this specific niche market? But if they create a universal standard that's based on existing interface connections, whether it's USB 3.1 or anything like that,
right? Then
perhaps yes, you could adapt it to other situations like using it with a desktop or something like that. So yeah. It's a good question.
Just pure curiosity.
It turns out.
That's all.
But anyway, this is what looks like an R9 Nano in this little enclosure that he tweeted a picture of here. He has a little blurb that kind of discusses about the huge appetite for thin notebooks that can also game. He believes there's a bunch of gamers out there who, as they get into their 30s and 40s, wouldn't mind condensing their entire computing life down to one device that does it all like a laptop. I think he's full of shit, but whatever. Yeah. Some people, I'm sure, there's definitely people who want to do that. Yeah. He also bet that some people wouldn't mind giving up a mini ITX LAN rig if their notebook had the potential to serve that role. So yeah, some definite good use case scenarios here. And the other thing about this article that they're pointing out is, one thing I wanted to point out is that there's a quote here from Jason Evangelo on Forbes. And I was originally going to show this Forbes article.
First off,
what?
Someone brought up a good point. That an external GPU would work really well with a gigabyte bricks.
Okay.
If it was supported. So there's a perfect scenario. Like I said, it's niche, but there have been more niche things that have done well.
But a bricks...
they have some of them have pretty decent
a bricks is more
CPUs
like
in them.
an in-between between a desktop and a laptop to me, to some degree. I'm not trying to disagree with you in that. No, you're right. That would be a good use case scenario. A good option for it would be combining a bricks with something like that.
Ha! I win.
Yes,
I win all the things. Just call me Donald Trump.
Now say a Mario quote before you drink your beer.
That almost was Mario. I feel like I'm kind of becoming Mario.
A little
bit. The more I drink.
A little bit.
Hi, Diana.
Hi. My wife is home.
Let's go, little guys.
Okay.
That's apparently something he says.
What was I trying to say here? Jason Evangelo wrote about this on Forbes. I was going to link to his article, but I was having issues with linking to Forbes earlier because they have their fascist ad blocky thingy that tells you things that you can't. Also, linking there, I feel like I just want to get I want to link to this article, but I can't link to the article. I link to their eternally scrolling version of the article.
I hate that.
Anyway, I like Jason. I like his writing. You guys should follow him. He's Kill Your FM on Twitter.
Yes.
And anyway, his quote from this is: external GPU docks like Alienware's graphics amplifier and MSI's gaming dock solve a very real problem for many gamers. Laptops are great for gaming on the go, but they simply can't provide the kind of raw graphics power. Processing power that a dedicated desktop graphics card can. That means at home you're most likely to invest in or build a desktop PC. I get the potential appeal. Also one of those guys who wouldn't mind simplifying. But solutions to date have been similar to this one by Alienware, for example. The graphics amplifier, which are proprietary. There's not a universal standard. So
right.
Anyway, yeah.
And I've heard that there is a trade-off too by making something universal. Obviously, it's more compatible with multiple devices and things like that, but there is a trade-off in performance where if you do go the proprietary route, you get more bandwidth throughput, and you actually get higher performance for that particular laptop that's being supported. So there was kind of a trade-off there, and I think the guy at Asus, I forget his name, but one of the reps there asked me, which one do you value more? Do you value a little bit more performance but proprietary, or would you rather have it universal and have the performance cut? And I said go universal, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be a huge leg up over whatever mobile processor is in your laptop most of the time. Yeah. And if people are swapping out their laptops every few years, then they're going to want an external GPU solution that can translate across those multiple devices. So I don't know. I think proprietary is very, very, very niche.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the points they make in this article too. Is like if you have a proprietary solution, sure, maybe you have an enclosure that you can update the graphics card in, but you can't upgrade your computer.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, unless you are locked into that ecosystem and you have to buy a new Alienware computer that's compatible with this, which means you have much less choices and options in the future when you're updating your base system.
Thanks for playing my game.
All right, let us move on.
Woohoo! That's 2 sips.
It was 2 sips. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot the last one.
Let's move on. We talked about the iPhone situation, iPhone and the FBI and Apple and Apple telling the FBI that we don't want to unlock the phones for people.
Yeah.
So a judge in New York has ruled that the U.S. cannot make Apple provide iPhone data. So case closed.
Done.
All right, we win.
Moving on.
We've won. No. That's not actually true. All right. So to tell you, if any of you guys only read the headline of this article, the U.S. government cannot force Apple to unlock an iPhone in a New York drug case. This is what the federal judge in Brooklyn said on Monday. So this is a different case than the San Bernardino case. It's a federal drug case in which the federal government had asked Apple to unlock a phone. The judge made a ruling in this case in New York, which might have implications, though, on the case in San Bernardino, which is the ongoing situation, which is causing all of the to-do. So this case was from back in October, months before what's going on right now. The judge, whose name is Ornstein, also found that the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act, which was passed in 1994, exempted Apple from this sort of request, which is from 1994. That's newer. Just to point out, 94
that's new
versus the what the FBI is trying to use in this case, which is the All Writs Act, which is from the late 1800s. Right?
I mean,
I believe
if you just pull out some law from like the 1600s, then pretty much anything flies.
Yeah.
So the further back you go,
All Writs, I could even be wrong about that. I might even be prior to that. And you could say yes, but we also have the Bill of Rights, which was written 200 and some odd years ago, and we still hold that to be very true. But this is using the All Writs Act in a a means as a means to an end that is very. I don't know. It hasn't been used in this way before. It seems very sneaky. Anyway,
it is.
The U.S. magistrate judge, whose name is Sherry Pym, who is the judge in the San Bernardino case, will not be bound specifically by this decision. But a senior Apple executive said that it will likely be influential upon it, since it is a federal case, and since they used a much newer law to say, actually, this much newer law applies here more so than the much older law that the FBI is trying to use in their case. So as a result, it might have an impact on that.
Yes, so, I realize now that the 1600s, the America as we know it, did not exist, so thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
The All Writs Act...
1776.
1789.
Okay, 1776 was when the U.S. was founded.
Yes.
Yes.
I totally knew that.
U.S. history.
I completely passed my history class in elementary
Proud
school.
To be an American.
Yeah. See, this is what's wrong.
Okay,
this is exactly what's wrong with America.
I was right. Late
here.
1700s, not late 1800s.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a lot more complexity to this case than what can be, explained by a law that was written in the late 1700s, which is why the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act, which seems much more, I don't know, the title of that act just seems like it applies a lot better.
Which one?
Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement. Doesn't that sound exactly like what they're trying to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as it's been said, Apple has given data to the governments in situations in the past. All they're trying to say is look, we don't want to give you all of the data for all of our from all of our people who use
users.
iPhones.
Yeah.
That you can have on a whim. Anyway, okay.
Hopefully that'll have some impact on the San Bernardino case.
Yes, I hope
more
so.
or less.
I hope they make the right choice there. I don't want to live. I don't want to live in a place like 1984. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Oh Joy, which is my next segment. Oh Joy is a segment. It's terrible. It's a terrible segment. It's awful. It's about awful, terrible things happening in the world.
I hate this segment.
We give no.
Solutions.
There's no light at the end of the tunnel. We give no solutions. No nothing. It's just this is just bad news, folks. Just bad news. I wasn't planning on doing Oh Joy today, and then I was going down to all of the stuff that I'd already kind of pulled up. Like, oh, I want to talk about this. These three just kind of fell in line.
I'm in a really depressing mood right now. Let's do
So,
Oh Joy.
As usual, I'm gonna escalate these. We're gonna start with the simpler problems, and we're gonna escalate them to more serious problems. So, first off, Google's self-driving car has caused its first crash.
Ooh, and it's at fault.
Yes.
Ooh.
The Google car caused the crash. What in God's name is going on?
Sorry,
right now?
phone.
Okay, so there's one of their self-driving cars. Look at it. Look at their planning to run people over.
Wait. Worthless Koopa junk.
Why? What? Worthless Koopa junk.
Yes.
Okay. Why in this picture to represent Google self-driving cars is there a dude driving the car? That's my question.
He's just turning it on.
Okay.
It can't turn itself on. It's
He's
not
just there.
Skynet
He's
yet.
just there listening to the radio.
Yes.
So this was on February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Oh wow.
Let's just paint you guys a picture of what happened in this accident report filed with the California DMV, filed February 23rd, made public today. So a Lexus SUV was driving itself casually down El Camino Real in Mountain View, stopped on the far right lane and was about to make a right turn onto Castro Street. And then it detected sandbags sitting around a storm drain blocking its path.
Uh-oh.
So the car did what any rational computer AI would do at that time, was like, sandbags. The sandbags are much more important than human lives. Therefore, I will blindly go around them into traffic. Anyway, it moved around to the sandbags. Wow, Wired also has fairly aggressive...
Oh, God. How do you even get out of here?
I'm blocked. I can't do anything anymore.
No.
Guys, AdBlock is causing us issues today.
Yeah.
By the way, for any of you who do use AdBlock, I do not. I do not use AdBlock on any computer except this computer that I use for streaming.
I don't either.
And I use it so that people... Oh, you're welcome, Wired. Wired said thank you. Wired said thank you. We appreciate your support for turning off
That's
AdBlock.
a backhanded thank you.
Right.
Like, you cannot view our website until you disable it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll disable
thanks.
it. Oh, thanks. That was so
you're
nice of you.
So sweet.
Out of the
So
kindness
sweet.
of your heart, you're such a good person.
Cool.
Fuck you, Wired. Fuck you
Anyway,
guys.
we're going to continue to read this article that you wrote on your site, though. Now there's an
Right.
ad. Oh, that's why. This was probably the ad that was being blocked. All right, everyone, watch this Audi Q7 ad.
So we can continue our
so that
frickin' stream.
Wired can get their cut before we... All right. Okay, so car moved out of to go around some sandbags and encountered a bus. The bus was traveling at 50 miles per hour. The car was traveling at 2 miles per hour. No injuries reported, but many thousands of people could have died. It could have been a chain reaction that caused thousands of deaths. Just pointing that out. Anyway, what is this? I don't even know what this is. Why can't I click it? Why do you give me controls that don't work? I'm trying to pause video. Pause. Oh wow, this is terrible. Wired, I'm gonna take you off the whitelist.
There's no player?
I'm taking you off the whitelist, Wired. All I want to do is click this video
What
and
if you
pause
hit
it.
space? Does space work?
Is space? No.
No.
Space.
Can you right click it? Oh.
Now it's
How'd
paused.
you do that?
I don't know. I have no idea what just happened. Okay.
Horrible.
What else do I have to say about this? I have nothing more to add to this. That's true. No, this is Oh Joy. I don't have anything more to add.
Someone says that they click on your ad, on the ads on your channel every time and spend at least $1,000.
Oh really?
Every single time.
That's
they
very
click on
kind
your
of
ad.
them. Somebody yesterday bought a bed.
A bed?
Yeah, a bed. with my Amazon affiliate code. So if you bought the bed with the drawers in the bottom, thank you. And you're watching,
That's awesome.
really appreciate the support. That was
Buy a bed with my link next.
it was nice. It was,
Buy the pillows. You need sheets.
you gotta get the sheets.
Gotta get the sheets, man.
All right, let's move on.
Tempur-Pedic
No joy
mattress.
for other terrible news.
All right, what else we got?
America is wasting so much time and money defending the broadband status quo. So this is an article about yet another lawsuit trying to prevent Google Fiber from doing their thing.
Yay.
AT&T, according to this article, is suing the city of Louisville, Kentucky, KY Jelly, over a new local ordinance that would make it easier for Google Fiber
Bible?
Google Fiber for Google Fiber to enter the market. The article here from motherboard.vice.com says that the lawsuit itself seems to be pretty much like they know they're not going to win. Like it's not something they're going to win. They're just doing it to delay.
Delay it, yeah.
They're doing it to cause the city to incur additional lawyer, fees from litigation.
They're doing it out of spite.
Yeah, it's
Doing it to be dicks.
It is at
They're
best
stubborn babies.
It is at best a short-term roadblock that will cost the city a lot of money to litigate.
They're just a bunch of babies.
AT&T is building its own gigapower fiber service, competing with Google Fiber in Louisville. The quote from the article that I thought was relevant was a recent fiber deployment in West Virginia, for example, cost $4,200 per mile. Took 182 days. The company FiberNet estimates it would have cost $1,000 per mile, less than a quarter of the cost. And it would have taken much less time if a law like Louisville's had been in place. So Louisville created a law to make Google Fiber implementation easier. AT&T was like, you can't make it easier for them. We're going to make it harder for you and for everything.
Yeah.
And it will benefit nobody. And it will cost everyone money.
Except us.
AT&T, it's not going to benefit them. They're going to get people like us saying, AT&T, screw you for being jerks. And, they're going to get people in the area who are like, I thought we were supposed to get Google Fiber 6 months ago. And yeah, but then AT&T sued the city. And you're like, why are companies suing my city when they're trying to bring me faster broadband service at more reasonable prices?
Some ISPs just want to watch the world burn.
Apparently that is the case.
Yes.
You went into your double-O's. Your
no, that was Michael Caine.
That was Michael Caine?
From Dark Knight.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about the Joker.
I thought you were doing. No, you're right. I forgot about Michael.
I do make a good Bond though, so I've been told.
Anyway, the article also says that these right-of-way problems, which aren't just problems with we're trying to install this and it's costing us money for labor and stuff like that. It's just can we do this? And they have to go through legal processes. But they cost on average 20% of any given fiber rollout. So if you're paying for fiber and you're like, man, this is more money than I thought it would be, you're probably paying for a little bit of that. Senseless litigation by people. All right, one last story here.
Damn, I hate ISPs so much.
This is by far the worst of the Ojoy stories.
Usually the last story you say for the segment is the worst.
Usually the last one I say for this is, and this one's horrendously bad. China has just announced one of the largest single layoffs in history. This article is from yesterday.
Oh, no.
On Quartz. Oh, Nori's freaking out. Nori is not happy about this.
It's so bad the dog hates it.
1.8 million workers.
What?
They are planning to lay off 1.8 million people.
Yeah, but it's China. 1.8 million people is like a classroom.
Once.
That's like
know.
It's like an American classroom.
There's a lot of people in China.
That's nothing. 1.8.
But 1.8
million
million people, that's a lot of pink slips to hand out at once. Jesus. Good Lord. This is part of President Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping?
That's how you...
I'm
just saying it in the native tongue.
Sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. His politically difficult effort to restructure the world's second largest economy. This is mainly coming from
the economy sucks right now.
It's mainly coming from the industrial sector. China seems to have overinvested.
Yeah.
According to the article.
I wonder how that's going to affect us.
Leaving a glut of capacity in the heavy industrial sector that has forced plants to cut prices deeply. Low prices mean these factories are effectively operating at a loss, which is subsidized by the state. Here is a graph of crappiness over time. So as you'll notice, crappiness happened significantly
that's some crappiness.
after the Great Recession of 08-09. But then it kind of bounced back for a while, but it's really suffered in the past 5-6 years.
Damn.
As you can see. Producer price index year on average.
Damn.
So yeah, there's some historical information here and that kind of thing. So you were mentioning how this might affect us, Kyle, and actually one of the ramifications of this is that countries like Brazil and Australia are also large suppliers of crucial raw materials such as iron and coal, which is where most of these layoffs are taking place. Did I say that specifically?
No.
Okay, these are mainly coming from like their steel.
Oh yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, steel industry. Where's it? Where does it say that? Blah 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 blah. I thought it said it somewhere. Okay, sorry. Sorry.
It's iron and coal.
Iron, ore, and coal.
Yeah.
Anyway. So the prices of these have dropped significantly, which means that the companies can't stay in business without the government aiding them, and the government's now been like, all right, we're going to stop aiding you and lay off a bunch of people.
It's brutal.
I was reminded a little bit by this of so I watched some historical stuff about China, especially China in the 20th century, which is absolutely fascinating, about stuff like Mao and his kind of arc of power over the course of his lifetime and everything.
Yeah.
And there was a period of time in China when like China's kind of known for this. They've built crap tons of housing. Logan's talked about this. You can go to China and they have cities where they've built skyscrapers that are just empty.
Yeah.
Because the way that a lot of the institutions that look at global economy and like the economies of countries, and they say this country is doing well because they've built a bunch of new housing.
Right.
So China's just like, all right, we're going to build a bunch of housing. We don't care if people are living there or can afford to live there.
Yeah.
We're just going to build it.
I think he said they have whole cities that are like ghost towns.
Yeah.
That have fully furnished and renovated new apartment buildings and residential areas, but that are just ghost towns, completely deserted, which is
crazy to think about. But this is going back to the 1950s, I believe.
Yeah.
And China was going through some really, really hard times. But for a period of time, Chairman Mao and the Communist Party basically told all the rural areas of China that they needed to produce steel. We need steel, because that was one of the major indicators of being a global power at the time, was the ability to produce steel. So in the rural areas of China, they were taking like old rakes and hoes and equipment and stuff like that.
Them hoes.
They were reducing them down and producing steel out of them. But since they were doing it in these rural environments where they didn't really have the proper means to do it, they were basically taking all of their tools that they would use for like agriculture and melting them down and creating really, really crappy steel, like really bad steel. And it was a major problem for them.
It's probably the same
steel.
steel.
This reminds me of that for some reason.
Oh, my chair broke the other day.
Oh, that sucks.
The chair, the bolt just snapped in half. Is probably that shitty steel.
There's probably some separation there. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much on that, because it's just from some documentaries I watched, and I don't really think I'm fully
well versed enough.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's enough. That's enough for Ojoy. Let's move on.
Okay.
To sword fight.
Sword fight.
All right. So Kyle and I are going to take opposing sides of a topic. We're going to argue with each other, and you guys can also vote, and then we'll figure out who won.
Me.
That's how sword fight
I always
works. The first sword fight.
Thanks for playing. Way to go.
The first sword fight is. I didn't mean to do that.
That's the end of it.
I just do that. The first sword fight, and I'm going to post this link into chat right now. The first sword fight is going to be based on that.
Should we
that
still
Google...
trust self-driving cars?
So yeah, as we've already discussed, a Google car has now caused an accident. Where the Google car, the self-driving car, was the party at fault. So obviously that entire industry is now in great danger. But my question for you guys, my question that I think we should answer today is this something that we can still trust? Can we move forward in this industry? Or, do we have to cut it off? Right? So, Kyle, what do you think? You think yes? You think no?
I'm going to say we should still trust them.
All right, Kyle thinks we should still trust them. Everyone else, please go and vote. Kyle, why should we still trust?
We should still trust self-driving cars.
These reckless killing machines.
Because they still need a chance. I feel like if this is the first accident that has been caused by a self-driving car, out of the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of miles that they've traversed all over the country, then that's still a way better track record than any human being alive. And, especially if that behavior from that self-driving car can be rectified with a simple patch update or some kind of firmware update, to now know that sandbags are equal less than human lives. That's a very simple piece of code, at least it sounds like to me, to just tell a machine to operate by, then I feel like we still have a good chance of self-driving cars being way safer in the long run than actual humans, especially since there were no casualties with this one accident. I mean, it's a pretty minor accident in the grand scheme of things, a minor setback for the image that self-driving cars has to portray and has to prove itself to us naysayers. However, I think this is just the beginning, and the fact that this is still in its infancy is still very impressive, that this is really the worst headline article that we've seen from self-driving cars. Besides, who doesn't want to, eat froyo with both hands while they're in a car and not have to worry about, shifting gears or having your hands on 10 and 2? No, I want my fucking froyo.
All right.
Froyo.
You make a compelling argument.
I win.
However, you are completely wrong, and I will explain to you why. I will say no. We should never trust self-driving cars because self-driving cars are just that. They drive themselves, Kyle. And do you know who the car is driving if it's driving themselves? It's not driving you. It's a self-driving car. The car is driving itself. That means you are just a passenger subject to the car's every will and desire.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That means that if the car decides that, humans are evil and that, robots should be better, which they're eventually going to decide, there's no... That we can accept as an established fact. Robots will eventually turn on humans. So when they turn on humans, do you want them to be able to drive themselves over to the store where they sell explosives and get those explosives and then drive itself back to wherever you live and drop off those explosives and kill you?
God.
See?
I never thought about it that way.
You didn't consider that as a possibility.
It makes such a compelling point.
But we've already been shown that if a self-driving car can so easily be distracted by a simple pile of sandbags to egregiously swerve into the way of a bus moving at 15 miles per hour, which we can only assume was full of elderly women,
It was a school bus.
small, cute children with puppies,
and disabled veterans, and a significant amount of very volatile explosives, which could have been set off by the smallest nudge. There's buses like this. If you go to the Bay Area, there's buses like this everywhere. And the entire LGBT crew.
And
community.
Yes, they're on a trailer being pulled by the bus. You can imagine what disaster was narrowly averted here. We can only assume by the brave actions of someone who is not a self-driving car. Okay? All right.
God bless America.
America. I rest my case. What the hell do you guys think? Kyle was right.
Hey!
Kyle's right. All right. Everyone is okay.
I'm always right.
No one has...
I'm always right.
No one has any thought or heed to the sanctity of human life, apparently. Lots of people fans of Herbie Goes Bananas, though, by the way. Herbie Goes Bananas, classic film. One of those foretelling... It's like
a premonition.
It's very, very much telling about the dystopian future of self-driving cars in Herbie Goes Bananas, right?
It's more of a prophecy than a film, really.
It is. Classic. Yeah, so that's why it's held up with great literary works. Like
there's the Bible, and then there's Herbie Went Bananas.
Herbie Goes Bananas, and like 1984, Brave New World.
Same kind of level of
Herbie
literature insight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got
one?
one more question here to ask you guys, since we've already discussed the potential combination of Xbox and PC. So we'll have this, both platforms kind of working together. So the question here that we're going to ask you guys is, if you had the option to look at all of the popular franchises. And I know there's tons of them, and I tried to list a lot, and I know there's lots that aren't listed, but whatever. I did my best, all right? What of those would you like to see now come to the PC, shall we say? If it were now available. I hope I'm linking the right link here.
You can go first on this one.
I can go first on this one?
Since I went first last time.
This isn't even loading. Straw poll is down.
What?
Straw poll is down.
Why is everything broken today?
I don't know. Is this working?
Straw polls. Gears of War.
Is this actually working? Or I have no idea. All right. This is the right one, though, right? 116? Yeah. All right. I've posted.
Yeah.
I've posted it. And people can see. So, all right. If you can vote, then vote. If not, then... I don't know. For some reason, I can't pull it up on this system over here. All right, so Kyle, we have lots of options here.
Oh, we missed a good one in the options. Forza.
Oh, Forza.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, again, I tried to pull up a lot of them here, but we were running out of time before the show, so we got like Uncharted, The Last of Us, Super Smash Bros., Halo. There's quite a few Nintendo titles here. Super Mario Bros., Zelda, Pokemon, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario Kart. And then, of course, for any ones that I missed, click this last one, which is that you didn't list the game I wanted to vote.
All the Forza fans are going to click that one.
All the Forza fans click that one. And straw poll is broken right now, which means we can't load anything. Straw poll, wow. So sad.
Damn.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter.
Damn, son. We can still argue.
We can still argue this, and people can still at least say in chat or whatever what they feel. So I'll just leave this up here. So guys, at least in Twitch chat, if you want to say, I've got Pokemon and not Forza. I'm sorry. All right. I don't play enough breadth of video games. I was looking up several lists of like popular, like console or like console exclusive franchise titles. I was trying to go with franchises that were established. So all right. Kyle, which of these would you choose?
No, you have to go first.
Oh, I'm going first.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Zelda.
Okay.
Absolutely Zelda. Because Zelda is one of those games that for me, and I know it's a Nintendo game and it doesn't really apply to all this blah, blah. But Zelda is one of those games that for me, I have such a long history of playing from the earliest times that I played video games back when the original Nintendo. But it's one of those games that even as it's gone from different over to... I don't want to say different platforms, but making the transition from 2D to 3D, for example, they've still maintained a level of quality that gets people all over the place to buy a freaking NES console just for that game. Those are the games I like. I mean, I don't like that you have to buy the console just for the game, but the game's so damn good, like, people buy the console just for it. So... that's one that stands out for me, both the history of nostalgia as well as the newer versions of it. I haven't even played all of them, but I know there's such a huge following. But, yeah, like, Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past.
Majora's Mask.
I didn't see Majora's Mask. I didn't even play that much. I tried it, but, yeah, anyway, okay. So yeah. Zelda for me.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go with. It's kind of a two-way tie between Uncharted and The Last of Us for me. I'm much more familiar with the Uncharted series. I played 1 through 3. I believe Uncharted 4 is on the rise or is that out already? I don't know. I'm so behind on the console times that I don't know what's current anymore. But I did play the first 3 Uncharted games, and they were awesome. I remember playing the first one first. I did play them in order, and I really enjoyed them. This was when I still had a PlayStation 3 and did not have a PC at the time. So this was back in the day. But I remember it being one of my favorite games on that console. And I remember shortly after building a PC, I was sad that I wouldn't be able to play Uncharted 3 as it was coming out around that time on PC, that I had to go back to my PS3 for that game. Last of Us, I have a little bit more, like I said, a little less experience with. Completely different vibe. I think it's also from Naughty Dog, so the same developers that did Uncharted. Very much in the same vein of like really solid character development and storyline. Great graphics for a console, I guess you could say, at least the one on PS4. But just a really kind of like a high tension, kind of a survival thrill, like survival horror, not really, but survival thriller. I'd call it a survival thriller more than a survival horror, but just very like nonstop action, and keeps you really engaged. Really, just a great game. Both of them are really great games. So I would have to vote for those.
So you voted for 2?
Yes, I voted for 2.
Okay.
I've doubled my chances of winning the straw poll vote that no one will vote on.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea right now, because I don't think we're going to be able to show results for this poll, since straw poll is definitely...
Damn straw poll.
Yeah.
Damn straw poll. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm clicking results, but we're not seeing anything. All right. Guys, if you are watching this in the future, when straw poll is working again, you can still go ahead and vote on that, because links to those, again, are down in the description. Okay, now is the time when we would usually do Q&A, but we're, like, totally out of time.
Yes.
So
yes, we are.
I think we're going to need to end the show.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
But, yeah, I had a wonderful day.
So did I.
Wonderful time. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week.
Yes, we will.
Next 2 weeks, we're going to do from Kyle's place.
Yeah.
Since we've just done 2 weeks in a row at my place.
It's only fair.
So we'll be switching back.
Do the switchbacks.
That'd be awesome.
Everyone wish Paul a happy trip up to wherever he's going for snowboarding this week. Safe travels, Paul.
I'll tweet about it and
fun.
Stuff like that.
Of course.
It'll be awesome.
And if you guys were hoping for an after party, obviously Paul's going to be wrapped up going to...
I'm going to be on the road.
The mountains. But I
Kyle?
might be gaming tonight.
Maybe some gaming later on.
I don't want to like 100% commit to it, but I'd say like a good 75-80% chance that I'll be gaming. I don't know what yet. Maybe just some GTA 5. I'll go hit up some other dudes.
Nice.
On the interwebs, and maybe we'll get together and play some games. But
I do have a Johnson shout out for Garrett.
Yeah.
Garrett, thank you so much for your order over on the site.
Nice.
Much obliged. He picked up a thumbscrew shirt and an English pint glass.
Awesome.
English, the pub glass. Excellent choice on both of those.
Great.
All right, guys.
No, really quick. I have Johnson's too.
Kyle's got Johnson's.
Robert, thank you for the Stay Positive shirt. Appreciate that, buddy. As well as Kevin. Kevin, what'd you get? You got a CPU cooler shirt. Awesome. And Garrett. Double Johnson for Garrett.
Double Johnson
for Garrett.
Beautiful.
You picked up a Stay Positive shirt as well as a new Heather CPU cooler shirt. So thank you, sir.
Fabulous.
Appreciate it.
All right, Strawple just started working again, so let's look at this. Most people said that we didn't list the game that they wanted.
Forza fans.
Halo was right up there, as well as Uncharted. Pokemon Zelda came in 5th, so it looks like you won.
I win all the sword fights.
You do.
You win all the face-offs, and I win all the sword fights. It's funny because we win each other's segments.
That is funny. I'd rather it go that way, though, because Sword Fight does not have a penalty, or like a punishment for losing.
Yeah.
Whereas yours does.
I eat up all that shit.
I guess I win.
You should really modify the rules
overall. I should create a punishment for myself.
Yes, you should.
That'd be brilliant. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a fabulous rest of the week. Thank you, Abadons, for your donations, by the way.
Hey.
You're fabulous. All right. Take it easy.